Everything is good until it's not, and everything works until it doesn't. This is No Singular Solutions. Welcome back to the No Singular Solutions podcast. My name is Joshua Hoyt, and I believe that no matter what you've been through, you can still achieve greatness and help others along the way. This podcast is about self-awareness and self-discovery and how you can be authentically impactful. Follow along on your platform of choice, download episodes, and specifically on Apple Podcasts. Please remember to rate and review, as those ratings help my show and help No Singular Solutions land in the feeds and recommendations of others. As always, questions be submitted through the website, nosingular.solutions.com, under the podcast tab, Feedback on Fives, where every fifth episode, I will take listener questions, turn them into a topic, and we will share it with our guests. Today's episode is a little bit different. Episode 13 is closure. It's fitting today because today is Father's Day. Now, I typically don't like to have a script or anything in front of me as far as notes, maybe a few bullet points for questions, but I knew that today's episode was a long time in the making, and I wanted to make sure that I got through all of the thoughts. And so I've got some stuff in front of me. So for any of you that are watching the video portion of this, pay no attention to the fact that I'm looking down quite often. Those that are listening, you'd never know. Again, today's Father's Day. Now, I was born on June 17th, 1979. I was born on Father's Day. On April 3rd, 1999, my dad, Michael Dean Hoyt, committed suicide. This year has been especially difficult. It's the 25th anniversary. Earlier this year in April was the 25th anniversary of my father's death. And today, Father's Day, this is the 26th Father's Day that I've spent without my dad. My birthday is obviously in close proximity to Father's Day. And so the days surrounding Father's Day and my birthday are typically very somber. They're not days that I like to celebrate. They're days that I don't like to have a lot of the attention around me. So I tend to just go about my business, do my thing. I don't like to celebrate it, and it's for obvious reasons. And that's what makes this episode about closure so fitting. Because in order for me to continue to grow, to heal, I have to have closure. And up until this year, recently, more specifically, I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't ready to close that door of that season of my life, or that quarter century of my life. And I knew that a big portion of that was going to have to be a conversation that I had with my dad. And in the years over his birthdays or Memorial Days or anniversaries of his death, I find myself up at Fort Snelling, and I'd be having conversations, but very rarely were they out loud. So I'm going to be really vulnerable today, and I'm going to have a conversation with my dad, with you. So here goes. There's a lot of memories that I have about my dad, obviously. Growing up as a kid, I remember, and I'm talking to my dad here, so I remember you waking up early for work. I remember how you'd get up at 4:45, 5 a.m. And the older I got, I would find myself either waking up before you around the same time, or I would hear you get up. And so I would move myself into the living room, and I would watch the replay of SportsCenter from the night before. This is when the 5 a.m. and 5:30 a.m. and 6 a.m. shows were all repeats of the 10 o'clock show from the night before. And I remember you getting up, getting ready for work, you'd go outside and you'd have your cigarette, maybe you'd have it in the house, but then you'd say, "Have a great day, do your thing," and you'd go out the door. You're teaching me what commitment and hard work and dedication look like. To get up early, work hard, do your thing, be your provider, be a provider. And I appreciate you for that. I appreciate all the lessons that that has taught me over the years about my dedication to my work, to the time that I put into others, to the time that I put into my kids. And I thank you for that. I remember you teaching me to ride my bike. I remember the day that I had the training wheels on and you were getting ready for work. This is during the summer and you were working a little bit later. So I think you'd gone to work at like 8 o'clock or something. And we were out in the street and you kept pushing me with my training wheels and I just couldn't get it. And so you left for work and you basically said, I'll help you when I get home. Well, shortly after you left, I went out into the shed and I found the right tools, and I'm sure I knew how to do this because I watched you do it. I found the tools in the socket and stuff, and I took the training wheels off, and I just sat there and I kept trying and trying and trying. And I remember how excited I was for you to come home from work so that I could show you that I had done it. My whole plan was you're going to come around the corner, you're going to be driving down the street, and then I was just going to be riding my bike, and you were going to have this, oh, look at that moment. And I knew how proud you were going to be. And I remember that very, very vividly. I remember you teaching me how to hunt and fish. I remember how you used to take me to what would have been like the mining areas or where the aggregates were getting pulled out, the sand pits. You took me out and taught me how to shoot with a 22 first and how to do plinking, as we called it, shooting cans and bottles and how to align the scope on the 22, and eventually taught me how to shoot a 12 gauge, take me deer hunting with your friend Scott and his dad. You taught me how to fish, taught me how to tie knots, taught me the difference in lures, all things that I carry with me today that I have passed on to my son and taught him how to fish. I was excited how when I used to ride my bike over to Lake Marion, I would spend the summers fishing. This was like 5th, 6th grade, even 5th and 6th grade, because after 7th grade, I started working. But I would ride my bike over there. I'd stop at the little garden shop. I would buy my live bait, my minnows, put them in the little styrofoam thing, the live well or the bait well that we called it. And I would ride over to the lake. I would fish all day and I'd come home. And every day when I'd come home, he'd say, how'd you do? How'd you do? And I would say, I didn't catch anything today. Today sucked. It was too hot, whatever it was. And there were days that I would talk about the bass that I caught that was probably a pound, and I would talk about it like it was 10 pounds. And I knew that when you kind of smiled and laughed about it, that you knew that it wasn't really a 10 pounder, but you gave me the whole, yep, I believe you. I believe you. Good job. All the things. You taught me how to defend myself and stand up for others. And this wasn't necessarily just about bullying. This was about, how to be a man and how to hold your ground and how to recognize, not just physically, but also mentally, like how to recognize when others are in your space, whether they're insulting you or they're talking down on you or they're physically bullying you. You taught me how to defend myself and more specifically, how to stand up for others. And that's something that not only have I taught my kids, but I've tried to be that person in our community to stand up for others, to help give them a voice. And perspective comes from this. And I've learned a lot about perspective. And I believe that comes from you. I also remember all the times that you laid your hands on me, whether it was a firm grip on the shoulder, whether it was a smack on the back of the head. There was always a component. I don't want to say always. There were several times growing up where there was a physical component of it. I remember specifically, I was like 12, 13. I remember I'd started middle school and we were bowling in the hallway. It was me and my sister. We were bowling. We used to take water bottles and turn them upside down. And then we would take like a small plastic ball and we'd roll it like we were bowling in our hallway. And you were doing something and it was loud and you'd gotten so pissed and you walked in, you walked down the hallway and you told us to stop or whatever, but you were almost yelling and you were so pissed because I had like smirked at you and you grabbed my chin between your thumb and your pointer finger and you'd gripped it really hard and said something to the effect like, don't ever smirk at me or don't laugh at me or whatever. And I grabbed your wrist and I broke it away from my face. And I remember saying to you, don't ever touch me again. Like that's where I'd had enough. That's right. I knew the difference between physical and verbal. And that was the time where I was done. I'd had enough. And what that taught me was to never put my hands on my kids. And only one time in my life have I done that. And that was when my daughter she was maybe 12, 14 months. She was young, maybe 18 months. And I was trying to change her diaper and she was squirming all over and I had crap on my hands and I was disgusted and I was not happy. And I'd given her a light little tap on the butt, like, stop, calm down. And she started crying. And I remember that feeling of standing in the hallway with your hands on my chin. And I remember never again. It was the one and only time, and I've never done it since. And that's from you. I took a bad situation and turned it into, I will not do this to my kids. I will not spank my kids. I will not physically touch my kids in a way that is well-intentioned but bad delivered. I wouldn't do it. I remember the value. I remember you not being at all of my sporting events and the value that taught me about the presence with my kids. I was so proud to work my way through tackle football, basketball, eventually start playing, even though our team sucked at the time. But more specifically track, because that was about me. That was, I spent more time in individual events than I did team events. You made it to some, but you didn't make it to as many as I wanted you to make it to. And I remember every time that I would have a significant achievement, whether it was I won an individual race, I placed well, I bettered my personal best or my personal record, I always looked up in the stands and was hoping you were there. My mom was there more often than not, but you weren't there. And it was always disappointing. It was always like, here I am, like busting my tail, doing my thing. And like, I just wanted you to see me be successful or see me doing well, and you weren't there. And as disappointing as that was as a kid, it taught me the value of presence to my kids, because I committed that when I was going to be a parent, that I was going to be there for all the things through elementary school, through middle school, whether it was volunteering in the classroom, just being present, showing up to their events, being the dad at dance, working backstage, showing up to all the competitions. Did I make it to all of them? No. Did I make it to as many of them as I possibly could? Absolutely. Did it matter did it matter how it affected my kids? Absolutely it did. And that's something that you taught me. Saturday, April 3rd, 1999. There's a question that I've had for a long time. When I came home from shift that day and it was 2:30 and I walked into my barracks room at Marine Corps Station Beaufort, South Carolina, and I saw the phone blinking. This was the day that I eventually learned that you had gone missing. I saw my phone blinking because there was that 60 seconds of dead air. Like, the question that I've always had that I know I will never get an answer to is like, was that you? Like, were you calling to talk? Were you calling to ask something? I don't know, but like, I've always wanted the answer to that question. Like, Was that you? I want to know why you chose. I want to know why you chose to end your life. Like, was ending your pain worth creating this pain for us? Did you think about how we would feel? I wanted to ask you those questions because if you knew, like, that's where my hate for you came the last 25 years. Like, I wanted to understand what was so bad that it was worth everything that I've had to deal with. And I want to know. I won't, but I want to know. I remember when I came back from boot camp and I had already learned about Becky's passing. I had learned because I called home and nobody had called me. And I found out from Becky's dad, but I didn't know how much you and mom knew. And I was irate. I was pissed that you guys didn't tell me. I was pissed because I knew and I'd hoped that you knew better, but for some reason you chose not to. Whether that was on my recruiter's advice and you just believed that that was the best way, or you really wanted to say something or write a letter or call me or whatever. But I've been pissed for a long time because I believe you knew better and you chose not to. I've been pissed at you for depriving my kids of time with grandpa. It upsetted me. It upset me during holidays, birthdays, events, um, because they never got the opportunity to know you. And I wish they did. Like, there's a few pictures, but there's nowhere near enough pictures. And I wish my kids had the opportunity to meet you, to know you. I just do. Like, I wish that you were around for a lot more because for them, you've never been there. Um, the older I got, I didn't know how tough my birthdays and Father's Day would be. And for those that don't know my birthdays, I said it earlier, it's June 17th. So it's like every fifth year it falls on holiday or it falls on Father's Day. And it's always a day or two left or right before or after it. But I never knew how tough it was going to be. And for those that have gotten to know me over the years, know that I don't celebrate my birthday for that reason. You don't know it's for that reason, but you know that I don't celebrate my birthday. I don't make it a thing because my birthday is it's not about my birthday. It's because it's in close proximity to Father's Day, and Father's Day is the one that crushes me. Even as a father, you try to look past your past and all of it and live in the now. But until today, until this closure episode, have I been able to really address it personally. And I regret that I didn't do it earlier or I wasn't able to do it earlier because I think there's a lot more Father's Days for me and a lot more of my birthdays that I could have better celebrated with my kids. And part of that I hold you responsible for, but I own accountability for my decisions, and I will be better with it moving forward. Um, I just I thought about your birthday and the anniversary of your death, and I didn't always want to remember your birthday. I didn't want to remember the anniversary of your death because it always became about me and not you. It was about me and how I was reacting to those days, not about you and what happened in your life through those days. And I've long resented you for putting me in this position, for putting me in this situation where it's like you transferred all of your pain and all of your hurt and all of your things, like you dumped it on me. And for 25 years, I've carried it, and I've carried it um, in an unhealthy way. And there's something that I've never said to you that I want to say to you now, and that's I forgive you. Um, I forgive you for your choice, your choices. I forgive you for how it's affected me and mom and my sister and the rest of our family. I forgive you for how it's affected my kids and the void that they don't even know exists. They just know there's supposed to be a grandpa and there's not. I forgive you for all of that. I thank you for teaching me the good and for teaching me the bad. I am as much your son as I am the man that you are not. I work my ass off to honor you. I'm also intentional to be more to others than you were to me. I'm so far from where I personally want to be, but I know you're watching and I know you're there. And I want to show you that what you created, in me is something that will continue to do good for others and change the world. So, Dad, I miss you. I love you. And I forgive you. To all of the men that this episode reaches, the dads, the fathers, the positive role models, the mentors, continue showing up for your kids. Continue showing up for the young people in your life. Listen to them, talk to them, let them know that they are loved and that you are there for them unconditionally, especially in the times when they feel broken, they feel lost, they feel weak. Your vulnerability is the strength that they need to see in you so that they can one day grow up to be the dad, the father, the positive role model, or the mentor that you are to them. If you're not that person right now, if you can't say that, please make the necessary changes in your life and make the commitment to start being there in the way that you want to be. To all the women that this episode reaches, your kids need male figures in their lives. Again, whether it's a dad, a father, positive role model, a mentor, there are things that you cannot teach them that a male can. Our sons need to see what a father and a dad look like because it's who they will grow up to be initially. It is not who they will ultimately become per se, but it's who they will grow up to be initially. Our daughters need to see what a father and a dad look like because it's who they see in other men. It's who they'll look for when they date. And so whether you're someone out there whose dad or father has passed, and on this Father's Day, it's a Heavenly Father's Day, find those young people. They may not be your kids. They may be your nieces and nephews. They might be the neighbor's kids. They might be the kids that you teach in school. They might be the younger adults at your workplace. Find them. Mentor them. Everyone needs a positive male role model. Not taking anything away from others, but because today is Father's Day, we are talking about our fathers. And there's a big difference between a biological father, a dad, and a positive male role model. We all need that in our lives. I have the benefit of hindsight, as do many, many others. I can't go back and change what happened to me or around me, but I can change how I move forward. I can change how I show up for my kids, for other young men in whatever season of life they have. I can change how I move forward. And my hopes in sharing all of this with you is that you grow from where you're at today, because you don't know if there's a tomorrow. And that time that you have with your dad or your father, spend all of it. Don't ask questions, just go. If you can't, just go pick up the phone and make a phone call. Have the conversation. Right the wrongs of your past. Bury old wounds. Like, find a way to repair a relationship if it's fractured. If it's good, build on it, make it better. Because we're so quick to, when tragedy happens or there's trauma, an event where there's not a tomorrow for that dad or that father, we're quick to say, should have, could have, would have, but didn't. I should have done this. I would have, I could have, but I didn't. Don't have that regret. Fix it today. And I don't mean wait till tomorrow. I mean, fix it today. Like, pause this episode now, make that phone call, drive across town, do whatever it is that you have to do, but let the male, let the dad, the father, that positive role model in your life, let them know how much you love them. Tell them how important they are in your life and the impact that they've made on you. And I guess in closing, I want to say happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. And I mean all the dads, all the fathers, all the positive role models. Happy Father's Day to all the men who have shown up in the lives of others, who have made an impact, who have helped form a future for our young boys and girls who will become men and women. And I'm going to leave it with that. I appreciate you. I believe in you. I believe that you can become the best version of yourself, and I'm here to help. I hope this episode was both insightful and informative. Now go be amazing and help others along the way. Thank you for listening, and God bless. This is No Singular Solutions.